Welcome to 5 Star Weekly. A sporting director hired, a head coach rumor. Oh my days, it's finally silly season. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube. Welcome to the show, 5 Star fam. I'm AJ, and this is Michael. And Atl Utd have made a hire. Oh my God. Wow. But yes, we will get into that. But before we do, much love to our Patreon fam. Most notably, Gavin, Jordan, Niall, Andrew, Chris, Nick, and Jeff. You guys, man. You guys are just freaking legends, like I always say. But yeah, so thankful for you guys. And yes, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. Because yes, you guys have definitely made our year. But yes, let's get into the news. And yes, there are some preseason matches that have been, at least the very bit, leaked, maybe, and one confirmed. Yes, Chattanooga FC, Saturday, January 25th at Finley Stadium. It will be our third time facing off against them. It's a 3 p.m. Match, and that was announced by Chattanooga. But according to Ticketmaster, Birmingham Legion FC will also be another opponent for Atl Utd on February 1st. So, probably about a week apart, pretty much, and that'll be at 3:30 p.m. in Birmingham. So a couple of away matches just like last year, but I think there is the kind of notion maybe that is this difficult enough for us as far as fixtures, as far as clubs? Should we be upping the kind of opponent difficulties to make sure that we are ready for the season? Or, is it also as well just a good tune-up maybe earlier on, so that at the very least, when we actually get to, when we're actually match fit, okay, we'll actually face some MLS sides or Liga MX sides. But yeah, what are your thoughts on facing Chattanooga FC and Birmingham Legion FC again?
It's tradition. Apparently, we have to do it every preseason. Except for, I guess, the preseasons we go to Mexico, which I think was only one or so. But it seems like we're done with that, going down to Mexico for preseason. It seems like tradition to play these teams. And we're just going to keep doing it, I guess. And to your point about whether or not this is a good, I guess, getting the team ready, it's not really like a team yet. So it's like, it doesn't really matter, I feel like, at that point what we do, whether we go up against high quality or low quality. I don't really think it matters. You're not really going to get cohesive chemistry or match fitness at this stage. So you can't really look at what the result of these preseasons and go like, okay, this is some kind of barometer for the future. So I just think it's like, they're just kind of getting back on the bike. And it doesn't really mean anything outside of that. These are almost like ceremonial at this point.
Yeah. Gonzalo Pineda, he did, last season kind of use these as a kind of, I guess, way to maybe get us playing better on the road, which was one of our Achilles for sure, especially with Pineda. But as well, I'm of also the adage that you got to kind of play tough opponents so that you are actually ready for the season. We've had so many seasons where we start off sputtering. How many times have we lost the first game of the season? And, it's a very forgiving league, but, you kind of also want to, kind of bookend at the very least, some good performances, start off strong. It really does, I think, kind of ingratiate yourself with fans when you start off strong, and you can kind of hold them on for longer a little bit in that sense of, the excitement of a new season. Because if you start losing a whole bunch in a row, or you start looking like you are in other seasons, well, yeah, people are just going to have PTSD, and it's going to be
exactly.
just.
I mean, I'm not too upset about the strategy of preseason that they've been running with. You ramp up slowly. You go up against USL quality teams just to get your fitness, just to start gelling and getting chemistry, and also giving confidence to the team in beating, hopefully, lower quality teams. And that makes sense to me. And then, as we know, we typically then end up going up against MLS teams towards the end of the preseason when we have a little bit more legs under us and a little bit more chemistry. And then so you get the harder opponents there, and hoping that gets you refined for the first game of the season. I mean, I don't really see a problem with that strategy. Going against Club America on preseason game 1, I just feel like doesn't make sense. So, or even an MLS team on preseason, it just doesn't really, I don't see the true benefit in that. So, I think what they're doing is perfectly fine. I thought the preseasons down in Mexico were interesting, but I feel like we didn't gain anything from those. So I don't know if they had any value.
Right. Yeah. When with Frank de Boer, and I believe we also did it with Gonzalo Pineda.
We did it at least with Gonzalo Pineda for sure. Yeah.
Right. And those were, I mean, I think middling results at best. I think we played a almost kind of it was like an academy side, I think, with Frank de Boer. So it definitely just wasn't, I think, something that really got us ready. I mean, part of it is
the Black Lions in the second tier in Mexican division or something.
Yeah. And so either way, hopefully at the very least, it'll be, I think, a good away day for fans, because these are all very close, and so that will be fun for at least the supporters. But let's move on to the next bit of news. So Atlanta United has re-signed forward Jamal Tiare to a contract through 2025 with an option for 2026. Tiare obviously had a good number of goals for us, especially against Inter Miami, clutch ones. 8 goals in 30 competitions. Maybe not the best return, but kind of a at least for most of the season, he was the third option, became the first option. Obviously during the playoffs, but maybe rumors of some not so savory things aside, it's
some improprieties.
Yeah, but at the very least, from an energy standpoint, pressing standpoint, and production standpoint, definitely one of our better backup strikers in our history. So at the very least, I think it's a smart move to bring him back, and I think with us not picking up his option originally, signing him to a new contract, it seems like it's going to be a lower figure, but
it's gotta be.
Yeah, but what are your thoughts on Tiare and him being re-signed?
Yeah, I mean, I think he did enough to win his re-signing at a lower number, like you're alluding to, and I sincerely hope that since they renegotiated, signed a new contract, that it is a lower number. I think he deserves a lower number, unfortunately for him. But it is, what it is. He produces what he produces, and I feel like we need to pay him commensurate with that, with his ability level. And I think we know what it is now. So, and it is not as if he is not useful for us. He is. So we just need to lower him to what we should be paying him. And I think he can absolutely be helpful and good in that role for us.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. And someone similar in that respect, to a degree anyway, is Ronald Hernandez. He has also re-signed, and that's a contract through 2025 with an option for 2026. So pretty much the exact same terms, but yeah, a player that has divided opinion, that's for sure, but a player that definitely is useful in the sense that he provides someone that can fill in at the fullback positions sometimes as well, maybe a three-man back line center back position as well. And I think he definitely showed some security against Inter Miami, especially in a time where we were in some maybe dire moments when Brooks Lennon went down. I think someone that can play both fullback positions, it's useful. But what were your thoughts on Hernandez re-signing?
So during our tier list for protection during the draft, we had a tier of sometimes shit is sometimes all right, and I feel like he's a perfect example of that. In that, like, there are some times where I'm like, how is this guy on the Venezuelan national team? And then there's other times, like in the Miami thing, where the guy played his absolute heart out and did it to an effective extent that I think anyone could be very proud of someone like that, like feeling like he's down, going up against Messi in like a Copa America type situation. It felt like maybe for him. So like he stepped up, and I really respect that. So hopefully he can continue to do that, and we don't see the inconsistent type of play that unfortunately has marred the majority of his time here. But he is, I think, like you said, a very versatile player that can be used effectively when it's necessary. And hopefully it's not when it's, situations where the team is in desperate straits and they need to play him as like a center back or something, because we can see what happens when you play Ronald like very much out of position or having to do too much. He just falls apart. So hopefully this, and what it looks like this team is shaping up to be, is far more solidified and concrete, that he doesn't have to really overextend, and he can be a more valuable asset that way.
Right. And it'll be year 5 for Ronald Hernandez, which is maybe a bit wild. But I have stood corrected on times when he's performed well, and definitely given him credit when he does. And there are definitely the boneheaded moments as well, where it's just playing the little flea, what's his name? Dang, can't remember his name right now, but playing him onside for a goal in the box. But man, what is his name? FC Cincy. Lucho Acosta. There we go.
Acosta.
Yeah. Anyway, but let's move on. According to German Garcia Grova, Rosario Central, they are trying to keep Franco Ibarra. They're trying to finalize some details to acquire 50% of his rights for 3 years. In terms of maybe what that has to do with Atlanta United, we already kind of let him go. So, in terms of Ibarra, I think it would just be interesting if he continues on with Rosario Central or not. Definitely, it seemed like we probably weren't able to maybe think that we could fetch the fee that we probably wanted for Ibarra, and that's why we didn't, pick up his option, didn't sign him to a longer contract, because then we might be saddled with him. So I think it's a smart move to not have done that. You made $4 million off of Santiago Sosa already with some add-ons, and you can kind of to one degree say, okay, the U22 experiment maybe was not the best, but we've made some money, and
just close the books on that era. Just let's move on, clean slate it. That's definitely kind of the motif, I guess. The frame of mind that Garth is probably in with all of this. So just the Febreze brothers, fresh start. Yeah,
exactly. It's because if you're trying to like hang on to it, you're lingering the stank, and it's just not something that's at the end of the day, in the long run, is maybe the smartest thing to do. But moving on from that, Atlanta United apparently made a €15 million offer for Benfica's Arthur Cabral 3 weeks ago. And the Portuguese club refused, said that they would not release the Brazilian for less than €20 million. And that was according to Andre Hernan. And Arthur Cabral, definitely a pretty prolific scorer in some of his stints that he's had at Benfica. Maybe not so much, unfortunately. He's kind of been riddled a little bit more to the bench, but in his previous stops, he was a top scorer at Fiorentina in the Serie A. He had 17 goals in all competitions in the 2022-2023 season. So, definitely not too bad in terms of, the recency of it, that he's been a prolific scorer. And, he's also as well for FC Basel. It was 32 goals in 51 appearances, which is better than a, pretty much, what is that, per every 2 games. Yeah, he's scoring definitely, I think somewhere, my math is terrible, so it's probably like 1.5, 1.7 games scoring a goal, so really good. And then also, for Sierra, 22 goals in 61 appearances in the from 2015 through 2018. So, it's one of these things that, he's one of those target forwards. He's a player that definitely was intriguing, I think, for someone that we apparently bid on. And it seems interesting that maybe that was a person that we were trying to go for in a really kind of weird time, actually, though. It seems like, the believability, to one sense, that we bid for him in November is a bit odd. But, it's in the middle of a European season, and especially, in the middle of our season as well, which was at that time. But Andre Hernan, pretty, I guess, reliable in that sense, but still definitely interesting. What are your thoughts on Cabral?
I mean, I don't know much about him, but from what I've cursorily saw about him, he seems to fit. He checks a lot of boxes. Like, he seems to have a lot of that fire and personality that Atlanta has come to be known for having in their strikers. Leading from the tip of the spear with a swagger, I think is a huge thing that Atlanta needs up top. So hopefully, when we do get a new striker, number 9, he can embody that fire and that personality. This guy seemed to fit that bill, and I kind of was a little bit excited, especially after looking at his numbers. He looked like the real McCoy, something that could really do damage here in MLS. So I was looking forward to that. Unfortunately, like you said, their offer was rebuffed, but they said basically, hey, Atlanta, come back with maybe 20 and we'll talk. No one's to say that Atlanta wouldn't come back with 20 and talk some more. So that door may still be open. We're not sure. We definitely still need a number 9 desperately. And man, that would get a solid signing there, would get the fan base on fire and really hopeful for next season. And I think doing that sooner better than later is better. So hopefully we hear something about that soon. And if it's someone within the same type of build as this guy, I think we can probably all be happy with it.
Right. Yeah. Because age 26, he is 6'1". I mean, it's definitely probably more in line with what we've been trying to do, in recent years with our forward position, our center forward position. So, definitely with that, with maybe a little bit of the Brazilian flair as well.
And he's not going to his national team?
Right, exactly. Yeah, he's not at that level, unfortunately. Obviously we would all love, a world-class player and all that, but I don't think
we're not getting Brazil's number 9. It's just
exactly.
Probably not happening.
We're not doing quite that, which it's also Brazil's number 9. They don't even know they're number 9 right now either.
Yeah.
So there is that.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say a specific player.
Yeah.
And Brazil's just having some issues too,
Right. But anyway, moving on from that. So a sporting director has officially been announced, as many of you know. And yeah, Chris Henderson, he has been hired as the chief soccer officer and sporting director, pretty much reporting directly to Garth Lagerwey. He brings more than 17 years of front office experience, winning a total of 9 trophies with 2 different teams, and the first major hire of this offseason. And yeah, he also, in terms of, he's won trophies not only with Seattle Sounders, but obviously Inter Miami. There are trophies in there, not only including MLS Cup, but a litany of U.S. Open Cups, of course, a Supporters Shield, and a CCC or CCL Cup. So, it's called different things now, but basically a Champions League trophy as well before he left the Sounders. So, he's won it all, and he's bringing that over to here, where rumors are that his influence at Inter Miami was starting to wane, especially with the hire of Raul Sanelli, who previously had been at Barcelona, been at Arsenal, and basically, yeah, it seems like the experience of maybe someone in Europe hired directly above Chris Henderson. Well, Henderson started to maybe feel like, okay, my influence and power here is definitely dwindling. Maybe I should hop over to Atlanta United because Garth Lagerwey will pretty much allow him to be the spearhead of all the soccer operation. And so with that, with also Lagerwey working with him at Seattle Sounders, with also Henderson in his playing career, a former midfielder, longtime player, where he's also apparently been traded 6 times in his career. So he also knows, to one degree, how to approach kind of any of those transfer talks, the moving of a player. Leading with empathy is quote what he said, and I think that's something that we desperately have needed in some of the times that we've moved some players on, where they definitely felt miffed when they left, because they find out either through social media or other means where some finesse maybe should have been had. But as well, it's a hire that also probably for a success standpoint, it's basically Henderson. He's done it with a smaller club as well, with Real Salt Lake, but also Seattle, and then now hopefully he can bring us back to where we want to be as a club with Atlanta United. But
promised land.
Yeah, to the promised land. So Mike, what are your thoughts on Chris Henderson as the new sporting director?
Yeah, I mean, you said basically all of it. There's not that much for me. I feel like to add to. Like, he seems like a perfect hire. Like, everyone around the league lauds the guy as the guy, kind of like how they did with Garth Lagerwey. So I mean, this is like setting up the dream team. I know I posted on Twitter basically, making fun of like the Avengers, initiative advertisement that Sam Jackson comes and says like, we're assembling a team. That's kind of what it feels like a bit, like getting all these all-stars of the front office and elsewhere together. So hopefully that's what it ends up being. And it's, it seems to be that we have every reason to believe that's what it at least has a very good chance of ending up being.
Yeah. And it's also maybe like Mighty Ducks 2, where the very beginning of that movie, they're racing through L.A. They're just getting the whole band back together, and it's it kind of feels like that a little bit, where it's obviously people that Lagerwey trusts. It's people that he essentially he tried it. He tried what was here, and obviously it wasn't working. And the previous stops where he knows, okay, these people can help me. I think there is a little bit of nepotism, obviously, but to that degree, it's not family, but
it's a corporate. Whatever the corporate version of nepotism is, which I don't know if that exists.
Right. But it is that. It's like, okay, well, you just...
Was that like cronyism? Is it?
Cronyism? Nah, that seems a little extreme. But, somewhere in between. Somewhere between nepotism and cronyism. Either way, it seems like a very good hire, though. That aside, the fact that none of these are surprises so far. No. I think that's the main thing. That
we'll get to the surprise.
Right. And that'll be coming up very soon. But either way, Lagerwey, he added that the part of the plan is to create sustainability, and the club's president and CEO, he said that he's deliberate with his methodology, and once it gets fixed, it stays fixed. So hopefully that is the case. Obviously, there's a lot of people that are growing impatient. And hopefully, just as far as with a rumor of a head coach coming, possibly, that the other shoe will drop very, very soon. And that shoe, according to Glenn Crooks, Ronny Deila, he could interest Atl United. And Glenn Crooks, he is the NYCFC play-by-play announcer, and he was just pontificating the other day, like, oh, could Deila be an option for Atl United? Which, super interesting that he was even thinking about Atl United to begin with. But, Deila, he was let go by Atl Utd this morning. We're recording this on a Wednesday, just for full transparency. It's basically... it's 9 games in, and he was let go by the Abu Dhabi club. But Deila, he did lead NYCFC to the 2021 MLS Cup. He's also won trophies with Celtic, with other clubs as well. I mean, he's basically won at very many places that he's gone, just maybe not at Atl Utd, but also Standard Liège, also Club Bruges, or Michael, how do you say it? Because I think we were talking about this the other day.
I don't remember. We did talk about it. I think it's like Brugge or something like that. I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend to know. So
but either way, so Crooks, he says that he anticipates an announcement soon that Deila is the next head coach for Atl United. So very, very interesting, especially, I think considering his win percentage, which, it's throughout his history, he's coached 631 games. He's won 315, drawn 129, lost 187 for a win percentage of 49.92. So pretty decent. Maybe not glowing, but there are a lot of trophies in there that you can actually still kind of at least, I guess, offset maybe, kind of a win-loss draw record that's, I think decent, but not like a just blow your socks off type of stat. But
let's contextualize the numbers too a little bit, because first of all, with the coming off of the Abu Dhabi team, someone might be concerned with the fact that he was fired. Well, what was the context of that? So far as I understand, he was currently, his team is in 4th in that league, and he had a winning, percentage in that league this season. And not only that, but that team apparently has gone through like 12 coaches in 4 years or some nonsense, like a stupid amount of coaches. So there's quite a bit of a carousel at that club. So with those things in mind, I don't think it's too scary to think oh man, he was sacked at his previous job. I wonder what caused that. Is that going to be an issue at Atlanta if he were to come here? I don't think that that's something to worry about. Secondly, when talking about his successes with Celtic, it's like, when Pochettino won with PSG when he had that stacked group, it doesn't really matter. Celtic is probably going to win their league. It's going to be hard for them not to. So if you're the coach, you're probably going to get a trophy, leading that team. So that's also something you kind of have to contextualize. It's I don't really put those as terms of high value and when appraising a coach. But it's still something. You can't discount it completely. So overall, I think I'm happy with the guy. If he were to come in here, I think he has the chops and the potential to do well in MLS. Is he a home run, holy hell signing? No, I don't think so. But can he do the job? I think he can. So I wouldn't hate it if he were to come here.
Right. I think he checks off a lot of the prerequisites that Garth Lagerwey mentioned, which is having MLS experience, being a winner, and also having European experience as well. And so, it's definitely a head coach that has that. Also, that 2021 MLS Cup was not an easy one to win, for sure. They were not favorites by any means. And I think that's probably the most impressive thing on his CV is him doing that. But as far as for Atl United anyway, because obviously he's going to be, if he is, coaching in this league. And having experienced a modicum of success, well, I would be, I think, a little bit more, relieved, maybe in a sense of okay, this if we're talking about say compared to maybe a Patrick Vieira, who we all know, if you listen to this podcast with any frequency, that I'm an Arsenal fan. He's a former Arsenal captain. He doesn't have the CV that a Ronny Deila has, really. So does that mean he's a worse coach or better coach? It really just, I think it depends on, I guess, who you ask, who I guess, in terms of Deila, kind of, I guess, what he, what his ethos is, what he's trying to do, which it really does seem like he is a coach that tries to be, a protagonist, a coach that likes to play with the ball, maybe a little defensively, maybe not the most sound, unfortunately. So kind of more in the line of a 4-3 type of game where we hopefully win a shootout, kind of like how Darren Eales used to say in that sense. But
that's the quote that's going around right now that I think is going to be on everyone's lips if he gets hired, is the him saying in an interview when he got to New York City, I'd rather win 5-4 than 1-0. I'll still take the 1-0, but so I think that is very, very reminiscent of some of the ethos that Atlanta started in the league with. So people will find that probably palatable, and they'll welcome it.
Yeah, because at the very least, I think Atlanta United fans, they don't really want a kind of really massively drab possession-based club where it's just only possession for the sake of possession rather than taking risks. So it is that, I think what's interesting is also that the Norwegian coach, he was a center back by trade. And so, center backs usually, you would think a little bit more defensively, kind of based, but no, he absolutely is, more of the kind of offensive coach, attack minded. And so, definitely interesting as a rumor, but Felipe Cardenas, AJC as well, they said pretty much that there has been no hire yet. Quote from Cardenas, nothing is agreed between Atl Utd and Ronny Deila, but it certainly does appear that talks are accelerating and that the former Celtic and NYC FC manager will return to MLS. So all that is very interesting. I think the most interesting bit is his celebration that he had when NYCFC won the MLS Cup. He basically got into his skivvies, was doing push-ups, and definitely it's going to be hard to top. It's going to be something that he will, if he wins MLS Cup with us, I mean, I don't know how he's going to do it. I don't know how he's going to do like something that will be better than that. And I look forward to it. I absolutely do. But so next, a bit of news, a little bit more both kind of Atl Utd 2 related. But Atl Utd 2 has signed Dominic Chonki through the 2025 season. He's a fullback, but he will be this 22nd homegrown player in 2026. So, definitely a guy that has gotten a good bit of time already with the twos. So, congrats to Chonki. But also as well, according to Porter Report on Twitter, 17-year-old Aiden Torres, he's currently on trial with FC Porto, and he's working hard to convince the club's staff to sign him permanently, apparently. So definitely interesting. 17-year-olds also, I believe, could play for the U.S. men's national team or youth national team. It might be a little early for all that in terms of him moving over to FC Porto, but hopefully he is at that required level, and if he does sign for them, fantastic. Unfortunately, we miss out on actually seeing him at Atl Utd, but definitely very interesting indeed. But any thoughts on any of the academy and twos players?
When it comes to there's always a concern when you send a guy way too young to a potentially European championship type of club, and then having him either ride the bench or get chewed up in their system and spit out, and it kind of derails their trajectory or their development. It's possible, but some people also use it as the fires of adversity to shape them into the player that they can become, reach their potential. You never know, but there is some concern with doing that at a young age. There are stories out there, people who follow international soccer and have looked at like virtuoso type players going to big name clubs early on and flaring out. It is not an uncommon story, unfortunately. So it is what it is. I don't know what it would be in his case, of course, but if it makes sense, of course, go for it, chase the dream. But if it doesn't, have some maybe prudence and hold back and develop a little bit further. And hopefully, if you are that good, that door will never close. Right.
Yeah, it is kind of that Alphonso Davies, maybe that route, or if you look at it from he's a little older, obviously, so it won't really probably hold as much water, but like the Freddie Adu route, where unfortunately, you can sputter pretty quickly if you're not given the opportunities to play, which can really stunt your development. Which also, by the way, if you guys hear any sort of noise, my neighbor, again, their dog is in a kennel, and so if you hear barking or clawing at their kennel, it ain't mine.
And it's not that AJ has someone imprisoned in his apartment and he cannot escape. So
Yeah, definitely not that. If anything, it's me who's imprisoned and cannot escape. But yeah, so that pretty much does it for the news, and it gets us to the mailbag. And you guys send in these questions through Discord and IG Story. Please continue to do so, and we might answer your question in the future. First question comes from Gavin, who is one of our highest tiered Patreon members. Kind of a troll question, but I'm gonna just entertain it anyway. Will we win this weekend? Love it.
Sure.
Yeah.
If by win you mean like we make some solid hirings, hopefully, yeah. Hope so.
And hopefully so, because there's the rumor. I don't know if it's gonna be a weekend that we actually announce it. It probably won't be Christmas either, unless they want to announce and work on Christmas, which stranger things have happened. But
They said they wanted to get it done before Christmas, right?
right, so by any and all accounts, that means I think if you're not trying to overwork your staff at Atl United, probably Friday is probably the best time. But I don't know if they can get everything.
To give you maybe a little bit of something to think about, I don't know how, this is entirely speculation on my part, but considering, the timing of the coaches firing in the Abu Dhabi club, and then us talking about, finding coaches, there's a possibility that we've been talking to him for a minute already, and that things have already been drawn up. Agreements have been made, not fully formalized yet, but there's a chance that a lot of this is done and they need to just dot the I's and cross the T's, and that could be over the finish line kind of soon. So who knows, because there is no such thing that prevents us from talking to the coaches that are currently working somewhere else. So it's possible that could come, fast and quick, but
yeah,
that's just speculation.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is tampering if we we do a bit of that. I have my doubts, I think, with that, especially if he was just fired this morning, essentially. So
that could all be part of it too. Like it's like, well, we agreed, so we're gonna let you go, and we knew this was gonna come and whatever. But
yeah, and for one's sake, I hope that from acceleration of hiring point, yes, I think we've had a good bit of time, and I think it's also we previously were speaking with him before he took the other job, and so there is a bit of that too. But next question comes from Grego. With Vieira no longer available and Curtin unlikely, who's the best available option? Well, it seems like Deila is now, but obviously just to address the Curtin thing, it seems like Matt Doyle, Tom Bogert thought that he was probably going to be the favorite. I, for one, am glad that he is not, and because Jim Curtin, definitely not the type of, I think, coach that we want here for a lot of reasons. But namely, you can't badmouth the fans and then expect, just a turnaround on him and, have him really kind of expect a long leash. Like, it's very ill-advised. It's kind of definitely just like really, really bad hire, I would say, if that were to happen. But
yeah, I feel like it's a desperate hire if we were to go the current route. Like he checks boxes and he could probably do us well, but like you have such an uphill battle to climb in order to make the fans have any respect for you whatsoever. And why start, like I think I said this in a previous episode, why start like below sea level in terms of the climb when you could just start at base camp, with a person that has a clean slate with the fans. So it just seems more, easier to go with a clean slate.
Right. I mean, at least base camp.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, yeah, if we could get somebody in that, fans are excited about, that's even better. But yes, Dr. Magnifico, he says, I'd take Jason Sudeikis at this point. Obviously, Ted Lasso, the character that he plays, it would be kind of a Rob Valentino light, even.
We kind of already had Ted, yeah. That's all to say.
To one degree. I mean, Ted Lasso, obviously, famously, doesn't know anything about ball, only football. So, but
hey, I mean, I'm not saying that. People around the league have been calling Rob Ted Lasso of Atlanta United. So,
right. Yeah, and it's he is more of the vibes FC type of kind of coach, but next question comes from Ethan, Atl Utd 17s. What are the odds all 4 of the quote unquote original coaching finalists are no longer in contention? Definitely interesting. He said, with the changing timeline given by Garth, it gives the feeling they are now scrambling to find someone else. Go ahead. You go first. Yeah, I was just going to say, I wouldn't say scrambling. Like, that seems a little... I think they're going to take their time. So, nothing is scrambling, really. But, yeah, go on.
Yeah, I agree that the assessment is that they're not scrambling. I think that you are assessing the delay or the length of time that's just taking to do, because I believe today is when we hired Heinze when we were looking for a coach last time. So like we have already had the guy in place by now. We had the hiring done. So I get that like fans are like, what's taking so long? Is there a problem? Is there are you desperate? And I don't think we are. I think that Garth's go slow to go fast thing is creeping up here again. And he's just being the word quote unquote meticulous, which is frustrating, and he has acknowledged that in the press conference that it can be frustrating for fans, but to trust the process. So we got to do that, and I think that based on the fact that evidently Matt Doyle, other people in the press, they pretty much knew Deila was going to be available eventually. Like this was kind of almost like a foregone conclusion. Like it just. The people outside the know, basically most of the fan base and not press, had no idea. And so, but to the people who knew, apparently this was inside baseball that they were all understanding. So to me, that seems that they had calculated this to some degree, and that they always had a contingency plan in the wings waiting if necessary, and perhaps this could be if not the main plan, like at least one that they were hoping would the pieces would fall into place, and evidently it did, and now he can jump right up to the top candidate.
Yeah, and maybe it is another candidate that possibly at least greatest Josh Cohen fan is pontificating. He said, I'll add this on with a suggestion. Robbie Keane, former LA Galaxy player, career as a player, he said notable teams: Inter Milan, Tottenham, Liverpool, LA Galaxy, Villa.
Yeah, the guy's good. Yeah.
Manager career: Maccabi Tel Aviv from 2023 to 2024. Won league title in his only season with 2.32 points per game. So definitely would be an interesting hire. I don't know if I haven't watched Maccabi Tel Aviv to know how he plays. But
they're also a fairly top-heavy league. Yes. Tel Aviv is likely going to win the league, so you can put me in charge of them. They probably will win the league, kind of like similar with Celtic and stuff. So I don't know if I put a lot of stake in that, but it's, just like with Deila at Celtic, it's something. So there's that at least.
Right. And, I mean, he's a forward player. It would be interesting. It would be, I don't know if that's a proven type of head coach hire. I think as a player, yes, he's definitely won a lot of titles with LA Galaxy, definitely not with Tottenham, but the had to dig that in there. But it definitely interesting. So
I feel like if he's coming back to MLS, it would be LA Galaxy.
Right, but I think at this point, I mean, Greg Vanny's not leaving, so it's a They just won. He's going to be there for a while. That's for sure. But yeah, next question comes from Omar 3237. I mean, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but we'll maybe hit the spots that we didn't talk about. He says, seems like the usual preseason spots with Chattanooga and Birmingham. Do you think it hurts the team not to play tougher opponents, even if it is preseason? Submachine OP also added opinion. It can still be a good thing to be able to test some newer players, or just to bring MLS games into other cities, especially states. Plus, it's a team's chances are you won't be facing, especially if Don Garbage doesn't let you into Open Cup. Okay, yeah, I mean, interesting.
Yeah,
interesting to that degree. I would say it wouldn't be that he wouldn't let you into Open Cup. I mean, last year, like, pretty much the teams that wanted to play Open Cup were allowed to play, and people that and now this year, there's rumors that teams maybe don't want to participate in Leagues Cup, and I think for Atl United it'll be interesting. Obviously, we did both. I think we'll probably still do both because it's that opportunity for money. It's the opportunity for playing in front of different fans, to maybe gain new fans, especially if it's Liga MX fans, if it's USL sides. It's kind of like this for a lot of people. They have
it's a big moneymaker for us too. Like,
right, it's a big moneymaker.
Not so much like Minnesota playing a Liga MX team, but like for us, it's because we have a lot of Mexican fans here, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and you have that to that degree, and then you also have that aspect of like, okay, a lot of people have, okay, I have my Premier League side, I have my Liga MX side, I have my whatever. So it's one of those things where I think they're never going to turn it down, but unless they just feel like there is just a net negative, which if for other reasons there might be in the future if something happens differently. But so next question is, let's see, some from IG story. Let's see. Willick9124 says, do you feel better going into the 2025 season versus entering 2024?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was actually pretty confident about going into 2024. Like Yorgo seemed like a man on fire. Like he seemed like he was ready to take it to Columbus first game of the season. And we had Thiago still, surprisingly. I thought we were, I was pretty optimistic for 2024, and surprisingly, I'm more optimistic for 2025. Not letting the rest of 2024 once the wheels fell off to cloud my judgment. But I think I'm a little bit more optimistic for 2025, not because necessarily that like the players will be significantly better. It's more so I think the systems in place, the coaching I'll have probably more confidence in, and the front office I'll have wildly more confidence in. Just to be able to put together something more consistent that has an identity, because man, has Atlanta just not have an identity for a while now. Like, I don't know what Gonzo's soccer was supposed to be in terms of an identity. It just didn't feel like it congealed ever to anything. It was just this thing that sometimes did okay, but usually not. They usually fell apart. So when you fall apart, it's hard to establish an identity. So hopefully we can accomplish that this season. I feel like we have a stronger chance to do so. I think last season if we were gonna do well, we were way too dependent on our star players. This season, I don't think as much will be that. I don't think that'll be as much of an issue.
Right. What you have just described is sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Yeah.
But exactly that. It's great points. I mean, I think going into that 2024 season, we were all definitely very optimistic to the degree that, okay, coming off of that that playoff run a little bit, or the run into the playoffs, was some of the best football that we've played in years. But yeah, it quickly kind of just went by the wayside a little bit. And I think you make a great point, is that the front office, there's a lot more faith, I think that we can have with Chris Henderson, who has, I think, with every stop, pretty much improved the the landscape of the team that he has been in charge of. And so, when he took over Inter Miami, in place of Paul McDonough, it was definitely a mess. It was sanctions by the league that he had to deal with, and he, by all accounts, did absolutely what was needed and was able to bring in, a lot of DPs at not DP wages somehow. And
which probably wasn't that hard. You just had to wave the Messi wand and,
Right. But it's how did they make it all work without being sanctioned again?
Right.
And,
which I guess they potentially could still be. Who knows?
Who knows? In which case, hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us as we're hiring a guy that, was
I doubt
at
it,
the
though.
helm.
It's not, because we're not just looking at Miami, right?
Right. And so it's definitely, because, Paul McDonough was obviously, reprimanded in that sense for that. But now is, to a degree, failed upward, and now is running USL to a degree. But it's just all very interesting. That the types of hires, I think, are the types that, even if, like we said earlier, they're expected, it's a promising hire. It makes sense. It has pedigree. And so, I think by all means, we should feel more excited. But now, yes, unfortunately, it is a what have you done for me lately? And yes, okay, you've gotten the sporting director now in place. Well, now you got to get the head coach in place. And now you got to also, as well, concurrently, get DPs in place and the rest of the squad. And hopefully, we can get a lot of business done, not only in December, but also, in the January window as well. Maybe for some of the players that, maybe don't play in this league. But
just 2 to 3 more transfer windows, AJ, and we'll be
mission
accomplished.
That I'm going to hold some umbrage with. I will not be okay with that.
I'm still not 100% sold on Moranchuk, so hopefully he can really step into the limelight this season. I need to see him light stuff up way more than he did last year. So hopefully he does, and if he does, then absolutely, home run signing. He's the guy Garth put his faith into, and hopefully, it comes due. But again, I'm not sold quite yet. But I think, the rest of the team around him and the new guys we get in can probably, at the very least, even if Moranchuk isn't the guy, we can still be very competitive, if not competing for trophies. So hopefully.
Yeah, indeed. It definitely is that. I think we need somebody that can, play on the last line, can score the goals so that he can feed him. But also, you probably need somebody in midfield that can support him, win the ball for him, so that, essentially he doesn't have to do a ton of the dirty work and can focus on playmaking and creating chances, and also as well finishing off some chances for Atl United. So, we'll see. But obviously, this is still a little bit early days, so don't hold us to a complete, you guys said in December, before we even hired a head coach, that, you're really excited. And it's obviously.
Everything indicates that we have reason to be somewhat excited. And I don't think we're wrong in that. I just, if things don't pan out, we didn't see Garth Lagerwey and everyone selling Giakoumakis early in the season. We just didn't see that coming. I don't think even he saw that coming. So that really throws a wrench into things. You know, and then Thiago going that year instead of some of the years prior, and Caleb Wiley, it all just kind of came crashing down all around the same time. I don't think they really necessarily wanted it to go down that way, but they couldn't say no, and it is what it is. I don't think this season will be characterized quite the same way.
Right. And that wasn't also the only reason why we were doing poorly. We were doing poorly before we sold those guys, so it is that too. But yeah, so anyway, that does it for the mailbag and pretty much the entire episode, except for the question of the day. The question of the day is, Ronny Deila, do you think he's a fit for our head coach position? Let us know in the comments below. Looking forward to what you have to say. But guys, that is the episode there and there. That is Mike. I'm AJ. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. We will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.